At least there were some people out there getting paid. That's the beauty of pari-mutuel wagering, right?
Exactly. I'm Jim Byers. That's Rodney Nelson. One thing I was happy about on my handicapping, and I only had one favorite win yesterday, was I had 2 second picks win. I had seconditis yesterday. A lot of my second picks won, but I had a 9-1 and 11-1 shot, picked second that won. So, and Apocalyptical Jess, who we all had second after all those scratches in that race, won and was 5-1, which is a pretty good price in a short field for a horse that's okay. He's not, he's not going to win any more AQHA championships, but he's still a pretty nice horse. You see an All-American Futurity win, you think he's going to be some kind of a world beater. Well, I mean, he's still a pretty nice horse. He won last night. Very close race, though. I mean, Stone Cold Leader only lost by this much, and I think he ran 4th.
Right. I mean, he came out of that gate, Apolitical Jet. I mean, he had a ton of ground he had to make up. I mean, started out bad and ended up picking it up. So, nice races last night. Lots of good money. I mean, we started it off last night in the Arabian race with a 15-1 winner, right? So
yeah, exactly. And we really liked this Jody Man AA in the first race last night. It was a short price. We're going to have, I think, a short-priced favorite here in this first Arabian race of the night. We thought last night there'd be some good money to be made. Same case tonight. A lot of really competitive races tonight. So let's get right on to it. 6 furlongs for the first. We open again with an Arabian race here. And these are non-winners of 2 lifetime. And we're both on, as Rick Lee is as well, the horse that I think will end up being a fairly solid favorite in Uptown Georgie.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's the horse I'm on here. I mean, so that last race was a stakes race. I mean, won it by a huge margin, 13.5. So totally destroyed the field at Arapahoe Park last time out. The few races before that, you saw he was at Delaware where they have some good Arabian racing, down at Sam Houston. A bunch of seconds in a row in 2021 before picking up that win this year. But that was a nice win. I'll go ahead and take Uptown Georgie on top. I'll take the pair of 1 entries for my second selection. I mean, we had one of them that just ran second last time out in the Texas Arabian Derby, that Sam Houston. So, I mean, that was impressive to have that close of a finish in a stakes race like that. Now, granted, that was a lot farther than this one right here, only going 6 in this one. But then my third choice is I'll take the 2s. I'm a sucker for entries. That 2B, Bradley Nelson. I mean, we share the same last name.
There you go.
Gotta like that. Second time start for RB Bradley Nelson. I mean, won his debut pretty nicely. That was at 5.5 furlongs. So a little bit more on tonight, but hey, I think that this horse can get the job done and hit the board. So 5, 1, and 2.
Wasn't there a thoroughbred sprinter here a few years back named Mr. N that you sort of
Mr.
took,
N,
that
like
you were
that
named
one.
after?
He won a few times, too.
Oh, yeah.
I snuck in the win photo for him a couple times.
He was a quick one. I mean, Uptown Georgie, he did draw clear easily. I agree with the comment. He didn't necessarily win it under complete wraps. The rider was asking him through the stretch, but, I mean, he just drew away from that field. And that was a maiden stakes race at Arapahoe, and it was just a few weeks ago on September 23rd. But I like him right back. Lapco's bonus, okay, it looks like he closed with a furious rush in that last race, that Grade 3 at Houston. But one thing to note, there were 2 horses, and I believe they were stablemates, that went out there in that 2-turn affair and just went into a complete head-and-head battle. And around the 3/8 to the 5/16, they were just ding-donging, and they both got gassed. And that winner, Hayab Al-Zaman, or Zaman, and Lapco's bonus both came late, but I think it was more that those front 2 were catching up or were backing up to them than they were closing. So that's why I like Uptown Georgie. I think he's a more proven sprinter. And I've got the number 2 entry third only because with Cesar Gouveia and Ernesto Valdez Jimenez, you can never overlook them. Okay, on to the second race. I'm going for a little shot here. 870. Maiden Claimers, 7,500. You got an Easter Fools who stretches out for the second time, looks speedy, but I'm going to try to beat him. If he's a super short price, I just don't think he's any value at all. This is slated to be our first jackpot super high 5 with 4,900 in the carryover. I'm going to take the 2 Special Joy. I can't see your picks tonight, so do you have
what? It's the 2.
You have them? All right.
Yeah.
Oh, this horse, by the way, Special Joy, has a gate work that we'll be announcing as well. A little bit later.
Yeah, I mean, I went with Special Joy. I mean, I see a lot of these hook races. I like horses that have experience. Not much experience in this at this 870-yard distance. I mean, we're looking at 5 war wagons at 8 starts, but never finished first or second.
Not much valuable
Yeah.
experience. Let's put it
So,
that way.
I figured I'd take this first-time starter, Special Joy. I mean, John Steinbo, Francisco Calderon. I mean, that's a pretty good combination right
Sure.
there. At first-timer, I'll go ahead. Like I said, none of these really stand out to me. I'll take a shot with Special Joy. Did take Easter Fool's second. I mean, I think this horse, like you said, is probably going to get bet quite a bit. But, I didn't see anything too special about this horse to pick it first. But I think for second, this horse could have a good run. And then third, I took the 7, Dreamkeeper, as my third selection. I mean, this horse has run third 3 times in a row. Has taken a lot of time off. I mean, had 2 races in 2019 where those 2 thirds. The next one came in September of last year, ran third. Haven't seen him in a race since, so third's about as high as I can go, but we'll see what happens with Dreamkeeper here in a second.
I went 2-6-3 in here. The things I like about Special Joy, she's drawn better than the 6. Always better to be inside in these. I like the fact that she's out of a thoroughbred mare, Crafty Joy, who was a pretty nice mare. She won a couple of races, an allowance claiming type, and she's produced a couple of thoroughbreds that have won some modest races. So there is some winning thoroughbred blood in that family. Easter Fools is out of a mare who's by Marfa. I can't believe there's any horses running around these days that are by Marfa. I don't know if you remember him. You were a lad when he was around.
A long time ago.
He was a 1980 foal who was trained by D. Wayne Lucas, was known as Marfa the Mugger for a while because he was kind of like the Firenze Fire of his day. He didn't bite anybody, but he would run into horses and bully them and whatnot. And he was a really nice, he won the Santa Anita Derby, Marfa did. I haven't seen that name in a pedigree in a really, really long time, so I don't know if it was Frozen Seaman or what. But nonetheless, this horse is a grandson, apparently, of the D. Wayne Lucas trained Marfa from the early 80s. But nonetheless, Easter Fools, to me, just doesn't have much staying power. I mean, he takes a big drop today, but he belongs at this level. I mean, he's run for 5,000 before. Maybe I'll be surprised, but I got him, and I got second and CMC Easter Chick third. On to the third. I thought this was a close call here between the 4 and the 7. LBD comes out of a race that featured that horse that we're picking against in the previous race. LBD was an impressive winner in that maiden contest. This one for non-winners of 2.
Yeah, I mean, LBD, the number 4, is going to be my top choice. I mean, I just mentioned that last hook race. I mean, I like horses with the experience. I mean, this is one right here. 5 starts, has a win, 3 seconds and a third to go with it. So, I mean, 5 out of 5 in the money at this 870-yard distance. I mean, was a winner last time out, won it by 2, beat a next out favorite as well. I mean, a next out winner as well. I like seeing that. LBD will be my top choice. I'll take the one as my second selection here. That's Continual Dividends. This horse right here doesn't have that 870 start yet, but has worked a couple times recently at 660. Yeah. So it's definitely, getting some length, stretching it out a little bit. And, how this horse did at 550 was solid. Finished third in that one. Won a race at the 440-yard distance before that. I think this horse is moving in the right direction. Brian Candanosa gets the mount today, and he's been winning some races out here. I think you got to take a look at the 1. And then I'll take the 5 as my third selection here. That's JB Speedy Gonzalez. This one was a winner last time out. Won it by 2 1/4 lengths. That was at this 870-yard distance. Gotta like that. I'm going to go ahead and take this horse as my third choice.
Yeah, I'm similar. I went 4-7-1. I kind of wish I had picked Continual Dividends, the 1 second instead of third, because I like the angle of stretching out from the inside. James Lackey, a longtime assistant trainer, now out on his own, is 22% when he sends a horse out for the first time in his barn, and Continual Dividends is a first-time Lackey. LBD, I looked up this NTC training center that this horse worked at in September. That's in South Carolina, Myrtle Beach. That's a weird place for a horse who's been based in this region. Kind of makes you wonder about it. Plus, Paulina Ramirez will ride for the first time, as far as I know, at this meet. I'm curious to see how she fares on LBD, who she got that really nice win with him in a couple of seconds down at Sam Houston. So I threw Cadina's Cowboy in there as a second pick, mainly because he does have some experience at higher levels, at allowance non-winners of 2, even though they weren't terribly successful. Good field in the 4th. Let's move on to race number 4, 400 yards here. an allowance event for non-winners of a race other than or non-winners of 2.
Yes, I like number 5, Just the Leader here in this spot. 3 races for Just the Leader. I mean, started out with a maiden-breaking win in the debut at Sam Houston earlier this year. Followed that up with a solid second by a neck in a trial race, and then got into the AQHA Sales Futurity. Ran third in that one by a neck, and I mean, look at the 2 horses that beat him, Doc McCrocklin and Hawk It To You. 2 pretty good horses there. I think Just the Leader is the one here in race number 4. Ryder Lee, that'll be my second choice. This is one that I picked last time in the trials for the Dash for Cash. I mean, out of Too Much Bling. Or
buy
too much bling. Yeah, so one of the leading sires, thoroughbred sires here in the state of Texas, up at Valor Farm. But Ryder Lee, that trial race was a nice race. I mean, won that one by a head. If you take a look at the 2 races before at Ruidoso Downs, both of those were solid too. Broke the maiden out there this year, and then followed that up with a solid second. So I think that Ryder Lee can run pretty good here for Toby Keaton. And then the number 1 is going to be my third selection. That's Panhandle Dynasty. Out of the 4 races for this horse, won 2 of them, missed 1 just by a nose, and then a 4th in the other one. But, hey, those are pretty good finishes. I mean, just a nose away from 3 wins.
Yeah.
Ricky Ramirez named on this horse, so we're going to see him out here tonight. I think that'll be interesting for Panhandle Dynasty.
I think this field is a little deeper than we might realize. I mean, I recognize Just the Leader is the one to beat, and Doc McCrocklin and Hawk It To You are really nice, and that TQHA Sale Futurity is a really nice race, but it is restricted. It is a restricted race. I mean, it features really nice ones, but I'm a sucker for horses that keep good company at Remington and Ruidoso, so I'm going to go with the 8 Lethal Viper in this race. This horse qualified for the $1 Million Rainbow Futurity in July, was 10-1 in that race, which is pretty good of a race of that magnitude, was bumped sideways, finished well back of Just Saving Candy, who's a superstar. Then came back in the trials for the All-American, ran into Muy Peligrosito, who wound up winning the Juvenile. The All-American Juvenile is a really tough race just to get in, let alone win. This horse was reasonably competitive, and even if you go back to the spring, this horse ran pretty competitively. So I'm going to go with Lethal Viper and hope I get a little bit of a price. Just the Leader may make me, hit myself in the head later because he really has run 3 really nice races, but he's going to try a little bit longer distance. It probably won't make a difference. Ryder Lee, I was super impressed with his bid last time. He made a really nice rally after some trouble at the start, and he's not going to have any problem with the 400 yards. Panhandle Dynasty, another good one. That's a really good race. I wouldn't take too short a price, personally, on Just the Leader. I think, I think he's going to, whatever price he lands on, if it's around 2-1, is going to be a little short for the competitiveness of the field. So that's why I'm trying to beat him. On to the 5th. 300 yards. Maiden claiming 2-year-olds here. So we've got more 2-year-olds, and they're in for $15,000.
Yeah, I got the 8 Jesty Corona. It's going to be my top choice here. 3 races for this filly. All of them have been fairly good. I mean, the last 2, she was in Maiden Company, going to drop down here for the $15,000 tag tonight. So a little bit of class relief might help out. I think this horse can definitely get up there and take the win here in race number 5. Vampirina, the 7, will be my second choice. Last 2 races for this horse were pretty good. I mean, the last one was second by half a length. Before that, picked up a 3rd place finish, missed by a head. 300 yards. I think this horse can handle it pretty good. So I'll go ahead and take the 7 as my second selection, and I'll go with the 1. He's all chrome as my third choice here. Last time out, didn't have the best race. Said he broke out. If you read the comments there, bumped hard. Finished 7 out of 10 in that race. Was well beaten. But the 2 before that, a couple consecutive seconds down at Sam Houston, missing just by by half a length in both of them. I think that He's All Chrome can show something here in the 5th.
Yeah, I've got him on top. It's interesting that Roberto Madrigal has He's All Chrome, and up until recently had Jetsi Corona, the 8. Now Raul Galvan has Jetsi Corona, so it's a current Madrigal against a former Madrigal. I'm going to go with the current one and take He's All Chrome. This horse has never been in for a tag. He has only been in against maidens 1 time. And Do It Easy, the horse that won that maiden race, won the Gillespie County Fair Futurity. Notorious is a pretty nice horse, the horse that this horse ran within a half length of. I watched that race last time at Gillespie, and he was really hammered at the start, as the comment indicated. It just kind of backed out of it. Leverage, the winner of that race, did qualify 10th for the final in that race, so that was a decent trial. I'm going to go with the 1 over the 8. I mean, Jetsi Corona makes a lot of sense. It concerns me, though, that she hasn't raced since July 30th and hasn't worked since August 13th. I'd just like to see a little more recent work. But early in the meet, I've been picking against horses like that, and I've been burned. So we'll see if it turns around tonight. The 5, I Want a Freight Train. First time James Lackey makes a considerable drop today. I think he could wake up in this spot. Let's move on to the 6th. More 2-year-olds. We have a lot of 2-year-olds. Fun to watch at this time of year. They're still developing. Race number 6, Maiden, 2-year-old fillies, 350 yards. And I think we have a pretty strong favorite in this one, but you're picking against it.
I'm picking against it. All right. I like Our Fire Spirit. And if you look at the front of the program here, Rick Lee, I think, picked Our Fire Spirit as his lock of the day. Yeah, lock of the day.
I mean, if I had a lock of the day, she would probably be it. I mean, only based on her last race to De Laurentiis was superb.
And see, that's kind of why I'm picking against this horse. All right. So, Our Fire Spirit, 3 races for her. Now, the first 2 didn't do much in either one of them. Didn't get out of the gate particularly well. Last time she was able to pop out of that gate quick, and I think that's what helped her going along and leading that race for most of the way down the track.
She was also drawn perfectly. Yeah, a whole meet. If you're drawn in that 3, 4, 5 hole, that's the perfect spot to be. And she was drawn perfectly and took advantage of it. And that concerns me a little, too, although she's drawn well tonight also.
And see, the reason I'm picking against it, I got a second now. The reason I'm picking against it was that Rick Lee's lock of the day. I think this horse is going to take a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
And at prices, I mean, he's got 6 to 5 morning line. I would think maybe it should be even less than that. And at that point, I don't feel the confidence in this horse. Yeah. And I'm going to take one that's a little bit of a shot. That's the number 5. I'm the Fast Kid. 2 starts for this horse. Last time out came close. I mean, finished 3rd in that race. That was at this 350-yard distance. I'm just, like I said, I'm just kind of rolling the dice a little bit and taking a shot with I'm the Fast Kind. I think after that last race, we'll see if this horse can't improve a little bit. Second, Our Fire Spirit. Talked a lot about that horse already. And then the third choice, I'm taking the 8 Luxury. This is one that's a 20-1 morning line. I mean, this horse ran in trials for Heritage Place, Rainbow Futurity last time out, and then sandwiched in between those 2 races was a solid second in a maiden race. So I think that Luxury might be one to watch. And, I mean, John Steinbo, I always like his horses that he has out here. Francisco Calderon, I mean, that dude's going to win some races, no doubt about it. I think this is one right here. Some big odds might be one worth taking a look at here in race number 6 if you want to play against that big favorite.
Well, I've got Our Fire Spirit for, somewhat obvious reasons, but I mean, I don't know if she can duplicate that last race, but I'm not sure she even has to beat this field. But I've got her over High on America. The horse that this horse ran against most recently in a trial at Houston, EM High Country, wound up winning the TQHA Sires Cup Futurity. She was reasonably competitive there. Luxury is my 3rd pick. This horse is a half to both Inspire, the Dash for Cash Futurity winner, and one of the all-time greats of recent years, at least, Whistle Stop Cafe, both produced by the mare Sinuous. Don't know if that will help this filly in particular, but she's got all the breeding you could possibly want. And, has run okay on the mountain in 2 starts. Faces a softer bunch here, so I like her for 3rd as well, and I think it's going to be interesting to see how they bet her. More 2-year-olds here in race number 7. These are Texas breds, and they're going 350 yards.
The 3, Dylan Fast, will be my top choice here. Last race out was Dash for Cash trial. Horse ran solid in that one, missing by a neck in that race. I think if that horse can duplicate that performance, it's going to be the winner here in race number 7. Second choice, number 5, Tempting Cautionously. I guess that's how you say it. Yeah. 3rd last time out. That was a solid maiden race down at Sam Houston. Just missed by a head. That was a nice large field of 10 in that one, so beat quite a few horses in that one. Tempting Candy Cautionously be my second choice. And then Whiskey 101, the 8 horse, that'll be my 3rd choice. 2 consecutive 3rd place finishes at Sam Houston this year. That most recent one coming back in June at this 350-yard distance. So I'm going to try it again. I think if that horse could run third in both of those, maybe a third in this one right here.
Yeah, we've got the same picks, same order. One thing we might point out is the rider on Whiskey 101 will be Jose Amador Alvarez. He's the quarter horse rider that's based here. Inadvertent issue with the program. Jose L. Alvarez is a thoroughbred rider that rode here in the summer, and he's riding tonight at Remington. But nonetheless, Whiskey 101 will be ridden by Jose A. Alvarez, who we see around here all the time. Yeah, I like Deal Him Fast. I think, it's kind of a tepid 3-1 choice on the morning line, but he comes off a really nice race. And I'm going to go ahead and take him on top over Tempting Cautionsley. Now, we've got a video coming up here for race number 8. Scratch the 4, Fast Prairie missed. We're going to go and watch some video of the 2 Elmer from a trial on September 18th. Elmer is the 8-hole, number 8. Watch how this Elmer breaks. He's going to break really, really well, and he's going to fire off here early on. Beautiful start. He's in the white blinkers, 2 from the outside. Gets out super well here. I think personally passing this gap from the far turn, he's in front. Now, the horse outside of him is a horse by the name of He's Innocent, who just roars past him. But He's Innocent's roaring by everybody, and this horse, Elmer, holds on. He actually held off that gray horse by a nose for second. He could have just chucked it in and said, well, I ran for a couple hundred yards and stopped. But he didn't. I noted that race as soon as it was run. He's Innocent wound up being even money in the final. Now, he ran poorly in the final. He had terrible trouble at the start. He's Innocent did, but he was still even money in the Dash for Cash Futurity. So no disgrace to being beaten by him. So I like Elmer. That was a really nice race last time out. I took Jess on the Run second, and I's a Super Freak third. Jess on the Run last time, I thought, I just think 300 is going to be much better for him. Jess on the Run is super fast away from there. Last time got out pretty well and faded. So I'm going 2, 8, 9.
Yeah, I got Jess on the Run, my top choice. That trial he came out of for Dash for Cash, the first 3 horses all qualified for the final. So it was a solid race there. I mean, one of the fastest of the night. I mean, this horse ended up running 5th in that one. But like I said, the first 3 qualified. Made the Rotama Derby this year, so I was able to qualify for that. And, I mean, if you take a look back to how Jess on the Run did last year, ran 3rd in the Texas Classic out here. So the horse definitely has been able to run well. Has some nice earnings, so I think Jess on the Run, that's going to be my top choice. I got Elmer second. If I would have went back and watched the video like you did, like you showed us, might have been a little bit higher on Elmer. But my second selection is going to be the number 1, Feature This Hero. I mean, won the debut, followed that up with a 3rd place finish in an allowance race at Sam Houston. Went on to Gillespie after that, ended up being placed 3rd in that race. And one of the keys for me taking this horse second is take a look at the combination, trainer and jockey. Juan Diaz Jr., he's already, for what I see right here, it's about 50%. It's not counting in his races from last night. Right. I don't know if he picked up a win last night.
He did not win last night. He had one scratched, I believe.
So, he's got a high winning percentage so far this year. Jockey's leading the colony right now, so I think putting those 2 things together on a horse that won his debut, followed that up with a solid race, I think Feature This Hero wanted to take a look at here. But this is a nice field. I like this race.
Yeah, it's a really nice race, 300 yards, non-winners of 2 or a race other than. And I don't know how it's ultimately going to shake out. And I think this is pretty competitive between Jess on the Run and Elmer. But as you can see, I'm kind of going against the grain tonight. So I'm either going to have a really nice night or not, and we'll see. That's kind of how every night goes, I guess, but we'll see how things go. On to the 9th. I'm going against the grain again here a little bit, but, Mandy Lane, the morning line favorite, is marooned out in the 12th hole, and I got to see some 12 horses win before I start jumping on their bandwagon. These are maidens, 3 and up, 300 yards.
Yeah, so I got the 5. Looks like you're on the 5 as
too.
well. Sling, 2 races for this horse, 2 seconds. Both of those came earlier this year at Remington Park. Take a look at the trainer. Now, I think if I want to say that picked up a win last night in the nightcap on a horse that had some pretty decent odds. The same trainer. I'll have to go back and check. But I think Sling can be ready to run today. Has had some work since running at Remington Park. You always like to see that. I took a shot. I don't like the 12 hole at all this meet. So I'm tossing out the favorite. It's going to be the one that's going to come back and bite me probably in the late pick 4. We'll see what happens. She's iconic. That's going to be my second choice. That's the number 4. This one had Rick Lee put 10-1 on this horse. The last 3 races, Sam Houston and 2 at Gillespie. I mean, this horse is 2 noses and a neck from 3 in a row. So was definitely up there in those races. Could run big here tonight at some decent odds. And then I'll take the number 1 TF One Sweet Robin as my third selection. Last 2 races was in for a tag at the $20,000 level. Ran second in both of those races. So kind of stepping up a little bit here. Don't know if can repeat those second place finishes, but I think his horse is good enough to run third and hit the board.
Yeah, I wound up not using her, but I did have all kinds of marks around her for a while, like I was going to. Sling gets off Lasix today, hasn't raced since March of 2020. Was it with Eddie Willis back then for those 2 races at Remington? I charted those 2 races, in fact. The recent work isn't spectacular, but at least it's something. I'm going to give him a shot off the layoff. He's drawn perfectly. Mandy Lane is my second pick. Was just outrun by Better in the Dash for Cash Derby trials last time out. I mean, the devil made me do it, and that bunch, that's a really good bunch. And that horse ran okay. Had a little bit of trouble, too. Kind of had to get straightened at the start. And got out okay, but didn't break super straight. But still, I mean, the 12 hole, you got to be a long way the best to win. I mean, she does appear to be nice on paper, or good against this group on paper, but I'm going to try to beat her. And then Favoritism, the 7, is my third pick. But I agree with she's iconic. I've got her 4th. I mean, she just likes to be up close at the end. On to race number 10. I wound up almost with a coin flip in this 10th race. 350 yards, good allowance field here. My coin flip was between the 2 and the 5, so did they get into your coin flip
The
at all?
5 did not make it.
All right.
But I went with the 4.
All right. Well,
wow,
I mean,
what a
there's
dynasty.
things to like about the 4.
And I'm going to tell you why I like this 4
All right.
right here. All right, so I'm always talking about that long layoffs, 1 start back. I always love picking them in the second start. Right here, wow, what a dynasty fits that. So in 2020, this horse ran in the Texas Classic Derby, had a very solid race, ran 4th in that one. So very nice there. Followed that back up, hit the track this year at Sam Houston back in April. Ran 5th in that race, but was only beaten by a length, so it looks a lot worse than it really was. Ricky Ramirez named on this horse today. I think there's a lot to like about wow, what a dynasty. I'll go ahead and take this horse on top. Second pick, I'm going with one that's a little bit of a shot. That is the number 7, and Steal the Candy. I think this horse could have a big run here. I mean, this horse qualified for the Rainbow Derby earlier this year. Last year was in the Texas Classic Futurity, ran 5th in the Texas Classic. I mean, that's the biggest race in the state of Texas. In those recent most 2 races, the horse had trouble in both of them, including the last one, which was a trial for the All-American. I think Steal the Candy could come up here and could steal the purse. 15-1 morning line on this horse. I like that right there. Third choice is going to be number 2, Gold Diggers Avenger. This horse likes to be up close in all the races. I mean, a second last time out by a half, second by a neck before that. Both of those coming in allowance company at Rio Dosa Downs. So at this 350-yard distance as well, I think there's a lot to like about the 2, Gold Diggers Avenger. But you know what? I took a couple other horses above that one, trying to make a little bit of money here in race number 10 tonight.
Yeah, this is a nice field, too. This is a nice, deep field. I went with Gold Diggers Avenger. I just think that those recent races behind Out and Gone and He's Back and Political Babble were pretty good races. Well, Political Babbles was back in the spring. This horse has been pretty consistent, at least was over the summer. And I just like his pattern coming into this. I like to see a race at this stage of the meet within the last month or so, or toward the end of Ruidoso, even though I have picked some horses coming back off long layoffs like that one in the previous race. The 5, she's already famous. I love that fast work here in late September, coming off a really nice win at Albuquerque and just an eye-popping E-speed index. If you look at those bold-faced E-speed numbers, 95. I mean, that's that almost makes you wonder if it's legit. But every time I question one of those figures, the horse runs a big race.
Right.
So she got into my coin flip. I mean, that last race, I mean, maybe Wes Giles, who had a really nice win last night at double-digit odds, maybe he's found the secret for her. The thing that scared me off, wow, what a dynasty, and maybe I shouldn't, but I just don't understand a work on the 19th of September at Albuquerque, a fast one, and then a work 2 days later a long way away at Zia. I don't know if one of those is a mistake or if they felt like they had to get a gate work into this horse. Why couldn't they have kept the horse at Albuquerque?
Is it on the way here, Albuquerque
No,
through Zia?
it's completely in the
The
wrong
opposite
direction
direction?
as far as I understand it. So, or it's at least not necessarily on the way, I don't believe. So, no, I don't get that. So last time I picked a horse that had works really close together. The horse didn't run a jump. So not that that'll affect, wow, what a dynasty. But so I used him third, but he has a lot of credentials as well. Now to the nightcap. 11th and final. Texas bred allowance, non-winners of 2.
I've got the number 2 horse, JEG Apolitical Size.
Apolitical Sace is how I say it.
Never going to figure that one out.
It's a mangling of apolitical and Sace, I guess. But.
Yeah, so anyway, I'm taking the number 2 horse as my top selection here in the nightcap. This is a horse that likes to be up there close as well. I mean, running in allowance races, all 3 of the last ones, against Texas breds as well. Second, a third, and a second. Picked up the Maiden breaking win earlier this year. So all 4 races here in 2021 have been pretty solid for the horse. I'll take it on top. Second choice, I'm going with number 9, You Rock My Hawks. This is a horse that ran in some big ones at Ruidoso. Most recently, was in a trial out there for the All-American Derby. I think that running out there with those horses in New Mexico, there's always some good competition. And I think coming here in this spot might be all right for this horse. We have seen some winners out of the 9. I do like the 9 hole. It's one of my favorites so far this year. And then number 1, Jess Lightning Legs. That's going to be my third selection. This is a horse that ran a fairly decent trial last time out for the Dash for Cash. I mean, the 2 horses that beat him both qualified for the final. So something to be said for that. Yeah, Famous Chief won the Dash for Cash. So they both qualified for the final. This horse has a couple stakes races earlier this year at Sam Houston. Had a decent third by half in the Tomball Stakes. So I think Just Lightning Legs. I mean, if you're going to play a multi-horse ticket, put the horse in there. I mean, I'm not discounting the horse. Not saying he can't win, but hey, I think this horse could have a shot. I'm just going with 2 other ones ahead of him, though.
Yeah, I've got him second. There's things about him that I like and things I don't. I mean, he did win. His only win came here last year, so he does seem to like this strip. He has been facing good company. There's no question about that. He does have a tendency to show early speed. The things I don't like about him, he's been through a whole raft of barns. I mean, Toby Keaton is the latest of a number of trainers for this horse. Don't exactly know why. It's his second time with the Keaton barn. I don't know. I just think he's going to be too short a price for what he is. And so I'm going to try to beat him with You Rock My Hawks. Again, I'm a sucker for horses that faced really, really nice ones at Ruidoso. This horse faced Impressum, Jim and Jam, Shotgun, Jets, was within 3 lengths or so of all of them. Those are really, really nice horses. And this is a nice field, too. But I just think You Rock My Hawks, from one of the best barns in this region, the Clinton Crawford stable, could be really dangerous in this spot and may not be as short a price as Just Lightning Legs. And Wes Giles, that horse that he won with last night, was a horse that had run against some really nice top-notchers at Ruidoso, like the Jim and Jams and Shotguns of the world. And so I have a feeling You Rock My Hawks could come up big. We'll see about that. So I went 9-1. My third pick is the 8 Riker. This guy's been around for a while as well, even though he's a 3-year-old. He's taken on some really tough ones. And I'll throw him in there for third. All right. Carryover, as we mentioned in the first high five, of 4,906. Carryover in the 6-shooter of 2,108 tonight. Pick 5 carryover. Pick 5 starts in the 7th race, 1,424. Should be a nice night, so look for Rodney's previews, and we'll roll out another one. I think we will have some competitive racing tonight, to say the least.
It's going to be fun, and if we catch some prices like last night, there's some people out there that are going to get rich.
That's
so
right.
It'll be fun.
Well, thanks so much for looking in, and enjoy your night.